Section 110 of the U.S. Copyright Act allows educators and students to perform or display all types of copyrighted works in a classroom or similar place at a nonprofit educational institution.
He turned it down, but through his obedience to God, he regained it. Let's talk about it. Verse 8, again the devil took him up on an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their glory. And he said to him, all these things I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. So he offered God the world and the world's glory. To us human beings, we may hear something, but we may not know that it's the devil talking to us. There might be an opportunity that comes, but we don't know that it's actually the devil talking to us. But God knew who this was. He knew who was speaking. So whatever this thing is that Satan will offer you, or whatever this thing is that Satan offered, it was to opposition. It was to the opposition of God. Whatever Satan offers is against your salvation. It's working against it. So Jesus responded to Satan's offer, and he said in verse 10, away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. So when Satan offered Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in their glory, he said, get away from me, Satan. For it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. Whatever Satan offers you will require you to fall down and worship him. Whatever God offers you will require you to fall down and worship him. And God says that you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. When you take from Satan, when you receive his gifts or his offer, when you receive Satan's offer, it is an act of worship. Jesus didn't receive his offer. He declined his worship. And he affirmed that you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. If Jesus had taken Satan's offer, he would have received less than what he was worth, less than who he was. Jesus is also God. Why would God fall down and worship Satan? God, in order to receive something that was worthless anyway, that is literally described as fleeting and frail and hollow. When God, the Father, had for Jesus an eternal kingdom, Jesus taking Satan's offer, he would forfeit the forever thing. Trade a forever thing for a temporary thing. He would trade a forever kingdom for a temporary kingdom. None of that is worth anything. Jesus obviously knew that. The scripture depicts what we cannot see. And so when Satan comes as an angel of light and he makes an offer to you and it sounds good, remember, he's offering something that is frail and fleeting, that will pass away, that is in opposition to God and will seduce you from God. And it is an obstacle to the cause of Christ. What is the cause of Christ? Salvation. If you, whatever Any offer from Satan is a direct obstacle to the cause of Christ, which is salvation. If you take any offers from Satan, you are opposing your salvation. James chapter 4 verse 4 says, "Do you not know that being the world's friend is being God's enemy? Do you not know that being the world's friend is being God's enemy?" The world opposes God. So if it opposes God, that means God is not there, because God is not divided against himself. Instead of falling for that temptation to worship Satan and have all the kingdoms of the world in their glory, the title is Jesus Begins His Galilean Ministry. So he was obedient to God. He healed the sick. He did what he was called to do. He walked in the purpose that God gave him. Jesus was obedient, and though he faced many trials, because he chose to follow God, God had a plan for him. He was able to fulfill the mission that God had for him because he was obedient to God, and which is now a blessing to all of us. It's a blessing to all of us. If Jesus had taken Satan's offer, he probably wouldn't have had to go through all the things that he went through, because he would have had the world. Our obedience to God, like Jesus' obedience to God, will cause many, many, many people to be saved who wouldn't have been saved. But despite the trials that Jesus faced through his obedience to God, his obedience to God caused him to regain the world. Matthew 28 verse 18 says, "And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, 'All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth.'" So even though Jesus turned down Satan's offer, he regained it. But God gave it to him. Through his obedience, he was able to receive this blessing from God. And we can even say that now, looking back, the offer that Satan gave him was a counterfeit, because what God had for him was that all authority was given to him in heaven and on earth. What Satan was offering was just the world. Just the world. So what Satan offered, God gave Jesus more. So if you were to receive Satan's offer and accept it and bow down and worship him, you would be receiving a counterfeit. That's a counterfeit offering.